Another day in the NBA, one more slate to close out the week. And of course, we're going to do the best we always do here on the Splash Play channel, try to capture one more first place before the weekend. It's probably not going to happen, but we'll still do the work here, looking at my data, comparing the top projected players for myself and Stokastic. We'll see who the top plays are, who the top value plays are. We'll also go game by game, checking ownership along the way, seeing where the leverage might be. We'll hop over to Stokastic Sim, run one of those without my interference, see what the top plays are according to one of the industry leaders. We'll run a single lineup sim as well. By the end of this video, guys, you're going to know all the industry's must plays along with my splash plays for December 12th, this fine Friday here. Let's get into it. I have been doing 2 hours of streams, jammed some pasta in my face in a not un-Garfield-like fashion, and we are here for this one. NBA today, nothing super worrisome, I guess, Q-tag-wise. Nothing has also moved since the morning data updates, so those are all good things to see. But at this point, it is one of those slates where we got one guy above 50 fantasy points. That's going to be a guy that comes up a lot. Keep that in mind here. I will put up the Stokastic plug as well, even though you cannot sign up there right now. Hopefully, you'll be able to soon. And when it does open back up, please use the promo code SPLASH. Get 15% off over at Stokastic. It is a big way I am able to support myself doing the show, and they've been down for about 36 hours now. So that's 36 hours of not making income. So it'd be really cool for you guys to go over there when they do open back up. Hopefully, it'll be soon, but use the promo code SPLASH over there. And until then, I don't think any new signups can occur. So I'm sure they are highly motivated to get that figured out soon. But our top projected players for today here, shout out to the chats who appreciate the Caps Lock chats, appreciate everybody else here. Shout out to our regulars who are here, and shout out to all the new names as well. And hopefully you guys will get what we're doing here as we do every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. for the NBA. Jalen Johnson, top projected guy here. We got no Porzingis, still no Trae Young. He is facing a Detroit team that led to Jalen Johnson having his one game under 60 fantasy points. In fact, his one game under 70 fantasy points in the last 5 games for Jalen Johnson. So that's who he's going against today with Detroit. But Atlanta, 112.5 implied points. Jalen Johnson averaging 1.41 fantasy points per minute. Lately, an automatic triple-double, sometimes in the first half of games. Hard to ignore Jalen Johnson at this point. You want that price tag up at 10-6. That said, in that same game, you do have a 10-8 Cade Cunningham. It's going to be much less owned. But Jalen Johnson, 28% of the field. Right now, I'm getting him in a very nice 69% of lineups. Kind of like we talked about yesterday with Denny Avdia, which did really rear its ugly head, unfortunately. When a player who is so highly projected is coming up and you have a bunch of guys right around him in that price tag, they don't look quite as good, but we just know how NBA works. We know how DFS works. Any of those guys can outscore that chalk player in a given slate. For that slate today, you have a questionable Tyrese Maxey. He certainly can put up a similar range of outcomes to Jalen Johnson if things work well, though you will have Paul George, Embiid, and still no Oubre, still no Watford, but Sixers looking healthier there, so Maxey not a great option on paper. Cade Cunningham, my projection's always a little bit lower than Stokastic's, but he's more expensive, and he does project about 4 fantasy points lower than Jalen Duren does in Stokastic data. So not easy to go to Cade Cunningham over Jalen Johnson. That said, the field's only playing Cade at 13, playing Jalen Johnson at 28. So same thing here, where Jalen Johnson looks great, but can you get more mileage out of playing a low-owned Maxey, a low-owned Cade, a low-owned Donovan Mitchell, a low-owned Josh Giddey, Anthony Davis? Maybe. So that's the main thing we always try to highlight here when we see the ownership. And that's why there are some people out there I know on, I think, one of Stokastic streams lately, somebody was like, well, why do you care about ownership projections? And I was like, I can't believe somebody's asked that question in 2025. But in reality, the big thing here, why we care about questionable statuses and ownership projections and things like that, is because they all dictate how the field's going to be playing things. So if you know that the field's going to play Jalen Johnson, usually you might want to play your best play, especially in NBA DFS, but you might just decide, like, I'll roll the dice with every other pay-up option on the slate and hope I could beat out the 28% of the field that's going to play Jalen Johnson. That wouldn't be a crazy thing to do. That said, I do think the fact that his one low game came from Detroit probably keeps the ownership in check for Jalen Johnson more than it should. He's been a demon with Trae Young and Porzingis off the court. There's really no reason to not go with him, but besides the fact that maybe one of these other guys outscores him. Donovan Mitchell, 28% expected ownership for him. I'm at 19. So I am much higher on Jalen Johnson, up on him, and similar amounts of ownership expected for the field for Jalen Johnson and Donovan Mitchell. That said, for Mitchell, certainly a guy that, at low ownership can break a slate. For Cleveland today, they are playing Washington as well, so that's another boost. Cleveland with a 129.5 implied total. Not a lot of team high totals or team totals that have been that high on the year. So for Donovan Mitchell, I get why he's coming up. I would rather play Jalen Johnson in the tough defense competitive game, but certainly there are merits to playing all these guys here. Johnson and Mitchell, though, going to be your chalk ownership, chalk own plays amongst the top pay up options. Is Maxey questionable or probable? He's questionable, but doesn't really matter. They would be the same in data anyway. Why do we care about ownership? All I want to do is share the 100K with, yes, that's also a fair way to look at it. But, for NBA DFS, ownership does matter a little bit less. But sometimes people, I think ownership doesn't matter at all. And that is certainly the wrong side of the coin, too. More like Fade Cunningham. For me, he usually is. So I get it. Josh Giddey, 8.4% for the field. I'm at 5. Giddey, you have Kobe White in. You are still missing Nasunmu, which helps out a little bit. Herder out as well for Chicago. And you are playing Charlotte. All these are good things for the Bulls. But for the most part, Bulls getting closer to full strength. You got a bunch of probable guys like Isaac Okoro, like Jalen Smith. These guys have missed a few games. Then you still have Kobe White in, who is really the big usage and assist rate inhibitor for Josh Giddey. Those things make me not want to get to Josh Giddey as much. That said, he's 8% owned on a slate where we have a bunch of guys around 25. So that's really the biggest selling point for Giddey is that he will be less owned. And certainly versus Charlotte, if Charlotte hangs in that game with all the guys they're missing, maybe Giddey hits the ceiling. Anthony Davis. My projections finally getting a little bit closer to Stokastic with Anthony Davis playing a little bit better permanent lately. Minutes are up for Anthony Davis as well, but at 9,500, I don't see being there for a mostly full health Mavs team. They might have D'Angelo Russell not playing today, but that doesn't matter at this point. Anthony Davis, 6.9% ownership for the field. I am getting 4. Again, not a priority play, but really at power forward, he is your most direct pivot to Jalen Johnson if he were to hit, and he is $1,100 less than Jalen Johnson right now. Michael Porter Jr., 26% for the field. I'm getting him at 38. Porter Jr. is one of those guys who's played well really almost every game since Cam Thomas has gone out. As it is right now for Porter Jr. at 8,300, definitely you are paying the full freight for what his ceiling is, what his floor is at this point as well. For Brooklyn, though, not a great total going against Dallas here. I think if you were to really tell me out of all these guys that I'm getting ownership to up top, between Jalen Johnson, Mitchell, Porter Jr., Jalen Duren, I feel the most uncomfortable with Michael Porter Jr.'s ownership just because Dallas has been a team that not very good, but still defensively does inhibit opposing players more than it feels like they should. But Michael Porter Jr. still gets to run to the castle with no Cam Thomas, 31% usage rate, 1.3 fantasy point per minute average overall the entire year, including the minutes that he has played with Cam Thomas. I think Porter Jr. is a very good play generally. This spot, though, I'm a little surprised I'm getting this much of him with 38% ownership in the field of 26. Evan Mobley, no Jared Allen for Cleveland. He looks a little bit better as a result. Mobley, power forward center as well, so you don't have to give away the center spot for him. That helps. But 20% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 13. Again, playing Washington, going to be a thing that helps out pretty much everybody here. And certainly for Mobley, blocks, rebounds, easy shots should all be there a little bit more in this matchup. So no issues with Mobley, really. Jalen Duren, 35% for me. Fields at 10. Duren does seem a little bit low against an Atlanta team that will be going with mostly Okongwu at center. But certainly for Jalen Duren, he's played well on the year, averaging 1.3 fantasy points per minute, including, as I always talk about here, 31 points per 100. Cade Cunningham is at 36. That is a lot of points for Jalen Duren. But the main thing for Jalen Duren right here is that 7,800, think there is still room on that price tag for the ceiling that he has. I am getting him about 2 fantasy points higher than Stokastic, though, at 40.6 compared to 38.4. This is just a sim run of data. It is a lot of Jalen Johnson, but this is the point is what the, yes. I don't know what you want me to say to that, but yes, it is. Thank you for noticing, question mark. Like Siakam, because I like anyone who is named for a programming language. Oh, Pascal, is that a thing? Sure. MPJ also had a cakewalk the past few games, inflating his numbers. That is also true. That's also true. And definitely Dallas, not as much of a cakewalk as some of the other matchups he's had. Pascal Siakam here, only 2% ownership for me. Fields at 0, and that is with me being about 2 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. Siakam at 9,100. Lineup is closer to full health at this point. You might even get Quentin Jackson back in today, even though his roster spot barely matters at this point with all the other point guards back in. But Indiana getting incrementally healthier. Siakam at 9,100 seems like an odd time for him to have a not a ceiling price tag, but pretty close to where he's been historically. And you are getting Philadelphia going against Indiana today at closer to full health. So to me, Siakam out of all the pay-up options, I think would be the one I'd consider the least. And Pascal Siakam just ahead of Lowry Markkanen at 7% ownership. Fields at 9. Lowry Markkanen, think not a terribly exciting play, but the matchup for him today going against a Memphis team that does play a little bit faster and does not play. I mean, actually just plays league average defense. Not as bad as I thought it was in my head. Marketing, I think an okay play at 8K, can't hit a ceiling. My projection is about 2.5 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. So not a big stand here, getting him at 9%, but he's a low one play that I think is worthwhile. Okay, let's sort by value here. And that's fine. Again, I read chats out loud here, and if they say nothing of use, I just kind of have to point that out. That's the process here. But I appreciate your participation. It really made my day. We're going to sort by value here. Before we do that, guys, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Lately, it has been a good week in me for playing NBA DFS. Certainly as the channel grows, though, there's going to be growing pains as we go. And you guys being here every day, showing some love, hitting that like button, subscribe is a big part of what makes me show up every day. So please help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe here. Goes a long way for me here. Just one guy showing you my gambling and dealing with all the things that come along with that. Of course, Stokastic, not up right now, but when they do open back up, make sure to check them out. Get 15% off the promo code SPLASH. Hopefully, that'll be today, if not over the weekend, and hopefully sooner than that. So please click the like button, check out Stokastic. 2 great ways to support the show. And if you are a paying member of the channel, I'll probably find your chats a lot more charming if you join for $5 down below. If you want to join one of the Squirt Squad tiers, you also get access to my projections, all the sheets I show you here on screen, updated throughout the night when NBA projections necessitate being updated, because I'm gambling on the same stuff that you guys are, so I do those updates throughout the day. But check it out here. Join for $5 if you want to support the show. Join for more if you want to get my data and play it yourself. All right. So I actually meant to ask this earlier in the video, but who do we think is on the thumbnail? Who's this handsome little blonde face behind me? No, not my new co-host. That's, in fact, our top value play of the day, Jock Landale. Bet a lot of you guys don't know what he looks like, so I have to point it out. Jock Landale, and frankly, I don't either. No, he's Australian, though, right? I think that's accurate. Jock, 3,700. No Zach Edey today. Brandon Clark still out. As a result, Jock Landale getting 25 minutes of Stokastic data. He looks like your value play of the day. I also have a lot of ownership for him, if anybody wants to notice that and type it out. 75% ownership here. Fields at 71. Jock Landale looks pretty good. Overall, production-wise, does increase as well for not having Zach Edey on the court. Obviously, those guys don't share a ton of minutes, but he's averaged about 1 fantasy point per minute, along with 19% usage, a 13% assist rate on the year. So for Jock Landale, assuming that he does get the start, if he's playing off the bench, downgrade him immensely, eminently. But I think for Jock Landale, 71% ownership looks like a solid play, great value play on paper, and really on a slate where there isn't a ton of great value. He's the most obvious value play, so he'll be played a bunch. Again, 71% for the field, me at 75. KJ Simpson, 89% sim ownership. Fields at 44. KJ Simpson, another guy benefiting from the guys out around him. We got no Trey Mann today for Charlotte, no LaMelo Ball. KJ Simpson also is going to be playing a good amount of minutes. Last game for Charlotte, let's pull up the popcorn machine. Was surprised to see how much he played. But he started this game, played 29 minutes. Could have closed if they wanted to. They closed with Brandon Miller. The game was kind of out of reach, but they basically took KJ Simpson off, brought back Brandon Miller for him. So they closed with Miller, Bridges, Kalkbrenner, Knipple, Sion James. That's your big issue. You had no Sexton too. It's a good point by Parker. Basically for KJ Simpson, the fact you're missing all these guys and Colin Sexton does mean that KJ Simpson should have a good run out of minutes. That said, you get to those closing minutes, you might get Sion James over him. If KJ Simpson plays sloppy, they could also just decide to go to the ball handlers more, who are not primary point guards. Go to Con Knipple bringing the ball up. Go to Miles Bridges bringing the ball up. And even Brandon Miller brings the ball up sometimes, even though he probably shouldn't. So for KJ Simpson, that's really our concern point, is that he might not close. If he doesn't start, especially, then the minutes are really at risk. But he's hoping he's going to start here. He started in the same game last situation. There's a lot of minutes to go around at guard. Even if he didn't start, he probably would get you 20 to 25 minutes. But the big thing is that along the way, he might not end up at 29 minutes because he might shave a few off because the defense might be needed more against Chicago. But KJ Simpson, Jock Landale, to me, the first two guys you start a lineup with, they're in 75% of my lineups for Landale, 89% for KJ Simpson. These are the value plays that allow you to get all these stud options around them. And certainly the ownership is well represented for both. Though KJ Simpson at 44, a little bit less than Landale at 71. Justin Champagnie, 27% sim ownership, Fields at 25. Not a very exciting play here, but we do get a few more minutes for him for not having Chris Middleton today for Washington. Champagnie, good minute per minute producer, generally a better producer than his brother at a flat 1 fantasy point per minute. Your total's high. The Cleveland matchup on paper, definitely not a good one in any respect, even for a guy that just adds a little bit in every category. But for Champagny at 4,400, he's small forward, power forward. He's making a good amount of lineups, 25% for the field. And I'm at 27. He's the kind of guy where you don't really want to have a big stand on, but certainly at 4,400 and small forward, power forward, you pair him with Landale and Simpson. You play him instead of one of those guys. That's your way to open up some money for other options. It all kind of comes together that way with Champagny. Santi Aldama, another guy you could play center today, theoretically, with the guys missing there. If Jock Landale fails, you're probably going to get Santi Aldama playing a few more minutes. But Aldama, 26% for the field. I'm at 29. Don't really think you need to go crazy here. He's not really a value at 5,600, but he will play more minutes because they are missing those big bodies. And Aldama, he's like big, but doesn't play like a center at all. But getting center run for him, more rebounds, will still take the same usage. Will jack up some bad threes, occasionally get an assist, stuff like that. Aldama, I think a solid play here. Happy to be a little bit above the field, but definitely to me, not a priority play like Landale, like KJ Simpson. Cam Spencer here. Point guard minutes should be getting lesser. Ja Morant is a Q tag. Might it be probable? I think he's a Q tag. Let me real fast just confirm that. Got Memphis here. The NBA injury report, which you should familiarize yourself with if you're not. Ja Morant's probable. Okay. So Ja Morant probable. That means not great things for a guy like Cam Spencer. But Cam Spencer, 4,700, still getting 24.9 minutes in the data set. That's a lot. I don't think this number will hold. But 2% for the field, I'm getting him at 12. He looks like a good value, but I think that's going to change when Stokastic updates their minutes later today and I pull those in. Ryan Kalkbrenner, 12% ownership for the field. I'm at 17. He's 4,200. He and Diabate splitting minutes. Diabate is going to go after being on the injury report, so nothing valuable there being added to Kalkbrenner today. But basically, one of these guys will play the lion's share of the minutes, and there's definitely more production to go around with all the guards missing. Walter Clayton at 3,500, another value option here. Definitely not as good of a role as a Jock Landale on paper, but 21 minutes projected. Not a bad matchup either for Clayton and Utah today. 18% ownership for the field. I'm getting 15. Not a big stand here, but another guy who's a value that you get in lineups when you're not getting the mega chalk value. Brandon Miller, fields at 41%. I'm getting 37. Miller's rates do take a pretty big jump up overall with no LaMelo and the guys who are missing today. Miller has played about 111 possessions without those guys and has put up 34% usage and a 25% assist rate while shooting terribly, 46% true shooting. So it's going to be harder for Miller to find his shot and be good with it. But the fact that you're vacating so many possessions with no LaMelo, no Sexton, no Trey Mann has been out for a while now. That just flows Miller's way. It flows Bridges' way. It flows Knippel's way. So Brandon Miller to me at 6,700 looks like a decent value. Fields there a good amount. I'm a little bit low, but if he's in about a third of your lineups, even half your lineups, doesn't seem like a bad thing. Jalen Johnson, despite being one of the higher price guys in the slate, still looks like a top value to me. We've talked enough about him. Kyle Filipowski, like a lot of minutes. 30 minutes for Filipowski. And Nurkic is in the data set, but only projected to play 22, so I guess that's why. Filipowski has been more in the rotation. But yeah, look, I guess Filipowski coming up here. I'm at 24%, Fields at 10. My projection is lower than Stokastic's by about 1.5, so I'm surprised to be getting that much Filipowski. But as another mid-tier option, power forward center at 5,700, that's probably why he's getting in, because the projection's not bad for that price tag. And Ace Bailey, a guy who one of my least favorite rookies coming in, but the minutes have been there for him. Today, Stokastic has him playing 29.5 minutes. True shooting is a little bit under league average at 55%. That's probably who Ace Bailey is, even though he should climb a little bit closer to league average, I would guess. Bailey producing 0.8 fantasy points a minute, which is substantially less than Filipowski at 1 and change. But Bailey in play. Again, neither an exciting play, but it's not a bad total going against Memphis. Overall, the game has 242.5 implied points. So I get why these guys are coming in, even though they're not really fun plays to me. More like ass Bailey. That's probably unfair. He's been better than I thought he would be, but he's just like a pure usage merchant. And when you have everybody healthy for Utah, usually not trying to get that. But yeah, he projects okay. We're going to go game by game here, guys. Before we do that, please do help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Ultimately, just one guy showing you my NBA gambling for a given day. And today's a good day. We got an $8 tournament on DraftKings. We didn't get the $5 one on Wednesday because of the short slate, but a cheap tournament with 100K up top. That's like our main event here on the channel. So help me out as we keep doing these streams Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. all NBA season long by hitting that like button and subscribing. And as I mentioned, Stokastic still seemingly down, so don't think you can go sign up now, unfortunately. But when you can, use the promo code SPLASH, and then hopefully we can all make money together. And last but not least, join the channel here, because basically without Stokastic, it's like doing these videos pro bono. Help me out. Join for $5 down below. It does support the show, does support the content I'm doing. And you also get access to a Discord to lament your DFS plays, more so share your successes. I think sometimes people like tilt over players being bad in their first sit in their first quarter, and I'm like, this is not the way to do that. But ultimately, it's just a supportive community trying to get you on the right track for NBA DFS. And if you want my projections and stuff, join one of the Squirt Squad tiers down below. Cheaper than any other site, you're going to find them. And my data won me, money this week in first place. Hopefully, can win you guys money too. Chicago, 116 implied points here. With Coby White in, he's really the only guy popping up meaningfully for me at 23% ownership. He's produced well at 1.1 fantasy points a minute, 31% usage, 29% assist rate. All of that takes away from Giddey, but provides, I wouldn't say comparable upside, but it's in the spectrum of upside to Giddey. Coby White doesn't rebound, though, so he's not really going to get a triple-double for the most part. But that said, Coby White, okay play here. Nothing else looks that great. Trey Jones at 5% for me, Fields at 9%. Giddey, though, is a pivot to the incredibly chalky Jalen Johnson for sure, but definitely a much less good play projection-wise. Thank you, Robert Griff the Turd. I appreciate that. To be clear, I'm not saying it to make you give me money. So you do enough, but I appreciate it a bunch here. Your support, guys, does go a long way for me here. And, sometimes it's important to remember, I'm literally just one person here. It might seem like there is a team of lab rats behind me, monkeys at typewriters helping create this content. But no, it is me streaming for 4 hours on a Friday, and it's great fun. It's great fun. It's great fun a couple weeks before Christmas. Charlotte, 113.5 implied points. Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, KJ Simpson. They're all going to be owned because you have no LaMelo, you have no Sexton, you have no Trey Mann. You have nobody here who does really get a lot of normal upside with LaMelo in. But Bridges, the least appealing play to me, even though he is a 5x value. 29% exposure for the field, I'm at 9. Brandon Miller, 41%, I'm at 37. Con Knipple, 25%. I am at 26, and KJ Simpson is the big stand here. I'm at 89% of my top 150. Fields at 44. Simpson, one of the best values on the slate. These other guys all have much better ceilings, facing a Chicago team that is a pace up and not a good defense. Really wouldn't critique you playing any of these guys on the slate too. This is the first game on the slate, so keep that in mind. Obviously, we're going in order of the games. But you have 4 games locking at 7, and then the late games, there's not really anything I think you're missing out on. With Utah, Memphis, Brooklyn, Dallas, we kind of know who's available for those games anyway. So I think for Charlotte, play whatever Hornets you want and feel okay that the field's going to be playing them a good amount too, because there's not any swappability you need to preserve for yourself for Charlotte at this point. We got Atlanta, 112.5 implied points. Detroit, 120 implied points. Jalen Johnson, the big stand here, as many brilliant people have observed, 69%. Sorry to keep being it, but it's like, it's on the screen. 69% sim ownership, and my top 150. Fields at 28. Dyson Daniels a little bit above the field on as well, though nobody here to me seems like a must play. The entire offense is Jalen Johnson. These other guys can spike, pull some production away. Certainly, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, high enough usage at 25% that he could break a slate theoretically if he just puts up enough points. But Jalen Johnson can break it by rebounding, assisting, doing a little bit of everything. And he is graded out like this guy for a while, but now having Trae Young out, having Porzingis out, he's getting the full run of the castle, and he's been great. The big issue is that Detroit is tough. Again, the lowest points total we've seen Jalen Johnson put up in this last run has been against Detroit. So certainly if you want to exercise some caution, I would get it. But for me, he projects well enough. If he's in half my lineups, probably won't be in 69% when things lock. But I think half my lineups feels like a good number for Jalen Johnson if he's going to hold at about 25% and change ownership. Detroit here, we got 120 implied points. Get a good matchup here going against Atlanta. Atlanta's defense, basically flat league average, a little bit of a pace up on paper. Jalen Duren looks the best, really soft center matchup. Okongwu's going to be away from the rim a good amount. That should help Duren, though I guess theoretically, if he does chase Okongwu out to the three-point line a little bit, maybe a few less defensive rebounds for him. But Duren's been great on the air, shooting well, assisting enough. Certainly happy to keep playing him. 3x, 4x the field feels like a bit much at 10% ownership, but if he's probably going to be at like 20, 25% for me when things lock, and I think that'd be a fine number. Asar Thompson, 9% for me, 9% for the field. Tobias Harris, 11% for me, 8% for the field. Not getting Cade here, but certainly Cade has the upside. He just is one of those guys because whenever the Pistons are at full strength, I think you have enough guys to take usage away, take rebounds away, take assists away. I've not gotten Cade a lot on slates, and that's going to be the case again for me today. Thank you for the kind words, Culprit. Love your content. I appreciate that a bunch. And shout out to all you guys hanging out here. I do appreciate you guys, whether you're watching live or after the fact. A lot more people watch after the fact these days. But whatever you're doing, make sure to just support the channel if you can. Hit the like button, subscribe. Goes a long way from here. But I appreciate the kind words. Appreciate your guys' comments after the fact too, which hopefully you guys know because I do always try to reply to all of them. Unless it's an either or, in which case, if I don't have time, I don't. Indiana, 108.5 implied points. Philadelphia, 116 implied points. Indiana getting closer to full strength at this point. Even guys they don't really need, like Quentin Jackson coming back in. Excuse me. I think Nembhard's still the best option relative price at 6,600. Siakam and Mathurin still have a ceiling, but the projection's not really there. I can't see getting to them much on this slate. Kind of Nembhard, McConnell is a value, I guess. Not awful, but nothing stands out. We got Philadelphia here, 116 implied points. Maxey, Q-tag on him, 10% for me right now. Fields at 8. If he's out, Grimes will look better. Embiid will look better. Paul George will look better. Edgecombe will look better. They're all going to look better here because Maxey is taking a ton of usage and assist upside normally. But I assume Maxey's going to play. I kind of think he's one of those guys that plays through most Q-tags unless it's a serious injury. Guess the one caveat would be, like, with Embiid and Paul George in, it kind of feels like sometimes these guys deliberately sit a game to let the other guys get some run. Maybe just let Embiid and Paul George get their usage up in whatever amount of minutes they play. But I think if you're Philly, you want to see the whole team together at this point. So I think Maxey plays. But again, if he doesn't play, he's going to open up a lot of stuff. It's really the main thing to keep in mind. And thank you, Spin, for the kind chats. I appreciate it. Thank you. R. Stanley, you really notice it now. It comes up the second time. It's a lot of Jalen Johnson. I get a lot here on the show. That's the point, is to show my exposures. That's why I was just a little taken aback by it being pointed out, because I pointed out. That's sort of the point of the show. But anyway, we're cool, R. Stanley. You've been around for a while. I get it. Oh, I appreciate you being willing to take the ribbing. Cleveland, 129.5 implied points. Washington, 115 implied points here. Cleveland, still no Jared Allen, but getting a little bit closer to full strength for the most part because we have no guys out for back-to-back / et cetera reasons. Garland going to get played a lot. Mitchell going to get played a lot. Mobley going to get played a lot. Jalen Tyson, I know some people out there are going to want to play. I know some of you guys in the chat have asked about Jalen Tyson a bunch. He really is not a guy who should be putting up 50 reliably, but he's shooting guard, small forward, and going to play 30 minutes of the projection set. So if you want to go Jalen Tyson's way, get leverage on the ownership, you can. DeAndre Hunter, my sweet boy from earlier in the year, just getting abused by losing minutes lately, losing usage too, down to 22%. So now he's behind Evan Mobley, behind Garland, and it's probably where he should be, but Hunter was really looking for a shot beginning part of the year. Now not so much. I really think it's Mobley, Mitchell, Garland as your key guys here. Tyson, Hunter, a little expensive for tournament options, but they are that. Washington with no Chris Middleton, no Sarr. I forgot to mention that, but he's still out. They said it was going to be 2 games. Now we're going on like 4 or 5. The Washington here, we're getting Bagley starting again, most likely. Minutes not super secure, with Vucevic picking up a good amount of minutes left behind. Other guys in the wing can play minutes above the center, so we are not chasing the Bagley stuff too much. Fields at 8, I'm getting 13. Keyshawn George, my projections still favor a little bit, about 2 fantasy points higher. That said, George has been deferring a lot. You have 2 McCollum, 2 Middleton, 2 even Bub Carrington. It's not the same situation for Keyshawn George. Also, as the beginning of the year where he was gunning, now he's not gunning quite as much. Usage is down to 21%. Yeah, Champagne's coming up a lot. I don't feel great about that, but he's cheap at 4,400. Carrington finally played well last game. Still definitely due to shoot better. 48% true shooting. He shouldn't be in the NBA at that point. He also shouldn't be in the NBA because he's had the worst plus minus in the NBA for his entire career. So there's a lot of things to hate about Bub Carrington, but he's getting more minutes lately. They clearly still have some investment in him. He might get more run, and he's probably due to play better because you can't shoot this bad and be in the NBA. Thank you, R. Stanley. I appreciate that. I am the best. I was going to say I am the best, but I appreciate you saying Spags is the best. Thank you for that. A little depressing seeing Embiid and George at those price points. It is, but that's a circle of life here. It's more depressing in the NFL to see every running back slowly getting put out to pasture, I think, too. Hunter getting cucked by the Cavs. He is, but that's how the usage should flow. I mean, for Hunter, I was excited to see him shoot more because he was playing well. Then he stopped playing well. The shooting stops, and that's really your test of a high usage guy. Is like you keep shooting through the bad spells. You keep shooting through the spots where other players spike their usage a game or two. And Hunter is clearly rolling back to the 3-and-D role a little bit more. But I'm sure if he plays a game where like everybody's out, he'll probably get some shots up again. Utah playing Memphis here. Again, a good pace game, but it is technically a slight pace down for Utah. Not a bad total, though, at 117.5 implied points. Markkanen and George both have ceilings, but they are priced certainly more than fairly for those ceilings. Nurkic, minutes have been down a little bit. Price tag still pretty high. Not sure you want to be there. Filipowski and Bailey coming up as mid-tier options. Neither super exciting. But at 5,700 Filipowski, 4,600 for Bailey on DraftKings. They'll come up, and you really shouldn't hate getting them in lineups too much. If you get them a ton above the field, though, probably wouldn't want to do that. Walter Clayton as well, coming up a little bit here. Been a good producer at 0.9 fantasy points a minute, but does seem like he really needs other guys to be out of the rotation to play better in a way we actually want to get to him meaningfully. Memphis getting John Morant in, but losing Zach Edey for a month means the bigs look better here than the guards. Jaren Jackson really hasn't done anything with John Morant out. Hard to expect that to change because you're losing Zach Edey, but getting Morant back in. Santi Aldama, we talked about. He looks good. Jock Landale, our cover boy, looks pretty good. Cedric Coward, for some reason, grading out well for me today, has spiked recently. Getting John Morant in, I just don't think is good for anybody here who depends on usage to get where they need to go. But Jock Landale, Aldama getting the center minutes, I think solid plays. Landale, your best value on the slate. But if Landale doesn't start, move off of that immediately. Brooklyn, 107 implied points. Dallas, 114.5. Michael Porter Jr., 38% ownership for me in the top 150 lineups I've built in the sim. Fields at 26. He looks good here, but certainly will be getting better wing defense than he has a lot of times this year. He's been good, shooting 62% true shooting, but definitely above league average here. Seems due to come down. But man, he's assisting, rebounding well, getting good usage. So I think that for Brooklyn, really hard to critique the Porter Jr. stuff. It just feels a little bit tougher than I think the ownership indicates. Dallas on their side, everybody is appropriately priced, if not then some. D'Angelo Russell got downgraded. He might be out. You'll get more Brandon Williams, more Ryan Nembhard, I suppose. Those guys really getting good minutes already. But you'll get a few more for those guys. Maybe more for Christie. Somebody else get in the rotation, perhaps. Dallas, to me, though, nobody looks that good, and I don't know what would make it look good. I guess this is not technically to me, it's to Steven, but do we agree Spags is the best hair in the content game? Depends on the day. I wear a hat because I don't want to have to do my hair. My hair is the longest, though. I think you could see coming out the back. But I keep the hat on for a reason because you got to do work. I've learned now after dating women for my entire life, you do have to take care of your hair really well if you're going to grow it out long, and that is a pain in the ass. But I try. But thank you for the kind words either way. Last game here, Stokastic didn't have minutes for it, so I didn't pull it in. If it's on FanDuel, I apologize, but I don't really care about FanDuel, so I don't apologize that much. Let's go to Stokastic next, see what a sim has on there without my interference. Does look like we just got a data update as well, so things may move pretty meaningfully. Let's refresh. Wait, no, it didn't update? It looked like it did. Now it hasn't. So never mind, the data hasn't updated, so we won't get a fresh look. But we will get a look without my interference here, guys. So please help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe. Again, doing the process here as best I can. The same way every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. You get a read on the best plays according to my data. You get a read on Stokastic's industry-leading data as well. And again, I've been doing well in NBA DFS. Really, even yesterday finished top 60. I didn't mention it, but like I didn't feel like my data was great last night, to be honest. But still finished top 60 because the process is improving, and that's the goal here, as always, to talk more about my process in great length on the Discord. But ultimately, I'm like you guys. I'm just trying to get better at gambling every day, even though I've won a good amount of money, won enough to buy this house off NBA DFS. It's largely always a moving target because it's a hard game. So keep showing up here, 2 p.m. Monday to Friday, and I'll keep doing the best I can to give you whatever edge I can provide. Check out Stokastic too. Again, not available now, but you'll see their sim running. Again, if you're already signed up, the sims and stuff work. Keep that in mind. If you're not signed up, I don't think there is a way to sign up currently, but hopefully they will figure that out soon. Because I imagine if I'm losing a couple hundred a day, they must be losing a lot more. So stay tuned. Use a promo code when they're back up, though. All right. We got Darius Garland, Kyle Porter Jr., Kyle Filipowski. Michael Filipowski also sounds like a totally credible white guy accountant name. Joel Embiid, Cedric Coward, Santi Aldama, Marvin Bagley. So we're getting a lot of plays that seem obvious based on the data, plus Joel Embiid. So that's cool. Number 2, we got KJ Simpson, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, Jalen Johnson, Marvin Bagley, Cedric Coward, Santi Aldama, Kyle Filipowski. So we are getting a full salary spend here, getting Jalen Johnson in after he wasn't in the top lineup. I like all the guys. We've talked positively about all of them, so really no issue with these lineups. Number 3, KJ Simpson, Cam Spencer. That's where I have an issue. I just don't think you play him on a day Ja Morant's going to be back. Brandon Miller, Jalen Johnson, Joel Embiid, Darius Garland, Kyle Filipowski, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. Pretty similar core. Number 4, we have another Jalen Johnson lineup. We got Darius Garland, Cedric Coward, Brandon Miller, Jalen Johnson, Marvin Bagley, Andrew Nembhard, Kyle Filipowski, and Jock Landale. Our first Jock showing, so seems noteworthy here that the top 3 sims were fading the mega chalk Jock Landale, but he does get in, a guy at that value level. He's got a better shot of making a winning lineup than not making it, obviously. Number 5, we got Darius Garland, Cedric Coward, Asar Thompson, Santi Aldama, Joel Embiid, Cade Cunningham, Kyle Filipowski, and Jock Landale. Do I use minimum salary on my optimizer? So I'm using SaberSim right now for my projections with Stokastic ownership involved, as I mentioned on stream a couple days ago. So I don't touch anything there, but when I was running the solver optimizer for my data on some slates, I wouldn't put a minimum in because usually you're close enough. If you wanted to, like $500. In NBA, though, you don't want to leave money on the table like you usually do for NFL, like an NFL showdown especially. So I would say probably max 1,000, but probably more so like you want to leave more than 500 usually. Highest player ROIs here. But Kyle Filipowski, 18% ROI for him. Cedric Coward, a 5% ROI. Everybody else is negative, but that doesn't matter as much. We care about the directional part. But Filipowski, really big cosign here, 18% ROI for the power forward center eligibility at 5,700. Brandon Williams at number 3. Cam Spencer at number 4. I just don't agree with that. Santi Aldama at number 5. That one makes sense. Jock Landale, nowhere to be found. Highest exposures overall. Jock Landale still in 64% of lineups, but technically a slight fade. The field's going to play Landale at 72%. Stokastic wants you to get him at 64. Cedric Coward, 60% exposure. Fields at 18. It's a real big stand on Coward. If I had to guess, price tag plus matchup plus position is the reason why. Coward projects pretty well at 30 fantasy points, but it feels kind of aggressive, again, with Ja Morant coming back in. Number 3, Darius Garland, 55% exposure, Fields at 36. So Garland, pretty big stand there. He has played pretty well. It's certainly a pace-up spot. Does lend itself to guys that accrue peripherals a little bit more. Garland definitely could benefit from the easy shots, but more assist upside, maybe a few easy rebounds for him. Garland, I'm cool being with the ownership. That's a lot, though, at 55. Brandon Miller, 55% ownership for him. Fields at 42. Again, getting a big uptick because of not having LaMelo in the guys. And KJ Simpson, 53% exposure, Fields at 44. So you're still getting a good amount of Jock Landale and KJ Simpson as your value options. They're in more than half your lineups. In Landale's case, about 2/3. But yeah, definitely not a every lineup stand for the value plays we have so far. Stokastic not finding Jock very exciting. Well, are Australian whites really exciting? I think that's a question. Actually, I think Australian whites are probably the most exciting given the convict heritage, all the weird animals they have there, most of which I've learned from Bluey. Crocodile Dundee, he's definitely exciting. So you know what? I stand corrected. They should find the Australian whites exciting. And frankly, a lot of busty Instagram models from Australia too. So we got a lot going on there if we're going to really do the cultural anthropology of Australia. Australian white's the most exciting. All right, there we go. Crocodile, look, if you're playing a game called Knifey Spoony, where you call, well, I guess it's a Simpsons version of it. If you're playing a game where you pull out a larger knife than another guy and you make fun of his knife, then that's probably a pretty good one. Margot Robbie, not a busty Australian, but definitely an attractive Australian. That's sure. Do I see a difference of 72% versus 64% is not too significant? For me, with how I've used Stokastic sims, generally when they go nuts on a guy, I'm like, okay, well, this means they love him. Like the NFL video I did today, sim right now is going to do a shitload of Kenneth Walker for this weekend NFL slate, and I went on my rant against that. I think it's more of a stand there. If you're just around the field or a little bit above, a little bit below, I think that's just a reflection of the guy's an okay play, but not a must-have play. But, you know, like for a guy like Landale, if he's getting in every lineup, I feel better than if he makes it in every lineup for me. If he's not getting into every lineup and he's like a fade for Stokastic, that's when I go like, all right, well, if I'm only getting him in 50%, I don't need to worry about trying to get more here because they're telling me that he's kind of a more replaceable piece than it seems. Your highest leverage play is Kyle Filipowski, 43% more than the field. He's barely getting played, and Stokastic wants him in half your lineups, so it's a really big stand. Cedric Coward, 42% leverage. I think this is going to move by the time he gets live before lock today, but we'll see. Santi Aldama, 21% leverage. Again, we'll benefit from the lack of center options there. It seems like Stokastic favoring Aldama, getting a little bit less of Landale. Though combined, you are getting them both in more than 100% of the lineups. Darius Garland, 19% leverage. Not a surprise with that number on him. He's in 55% of Stokastic's top 150. And Jalen Johnson, positive leverage on him, 17% leverage. Not quite the number I was getting at, almost 70%. Definitely a big lean in favor of Jalen Johnson. And Joel Embiid, they're going to as well. 38% Joel Embiid. That'll only go up if Maxey somehow misses today. Negative leverage plays. Donovan Mitchell, negative 17 leverage. It's a pretty big stand against him. But the sim likes Jalen Johnson, so I guess it's going the way of taking less of the other pay-up options. Paul George, only 1% exposure, Fields is 17. I think that would change if you got Maxey out, but I get it with Maxey in. Justin Champagnie, 14% exposure, Fields is 26. Again, it just seems like they gravitated towards other pieces that got into every lineup. Champagnie at 4,400, I think he's an okay play, and I think he makes a lot of lineups work around him, but Stokastic does not think he's anything special. Jock Landale, 64% exposure, Fields at 72. And Keontae George, 1% exposure, Fields at 8. So, stuff like that doesn't surprise me. But Landale, a little bit of a fade. Champagnie, a little bit of a fade. Mitchell probably the most surprising me because I feel like Stokastic sims tend to favor Mitchell a little bit. There you go. People loving the knifey spoony reference. I appreciate that. I have been getting YouTube classic highlights lately more and more on the Simpsons stuff. And Knifey Spoony was Simpsons, right? And then there was also a Crocodile Dundee bit on The Critic, that show with John Lovitz that I remember, but I don't remember what that bit was. So I don't know why I even brought it up. Could you go Cooper Flagg in a shit matchup? I wouldn't with AD in. Cooper Flagg is okay. Cooper Flagg, I said it enough times, I kind of think you need everybody out. And really his only outlier game this year, games, I feel like, it might only be one game, was when everybody was out. But I have him as a 4.5x value at 7K. He's only playing at a 0.97 fantasy point per minute pace. I don't really see it for Cooper Flagg, but it's your money. You could spend it however you want. All right, let's build a single lineup here. Make it decent enough time. Before we do that, guys, please do hit that like button. Please subscribe. Goes a long way for me here, especially on potential no revenue days. You guys hitting the like button goes a long way so we can keep fighting the good fight here against that YouTube algorithm. And of course, I am here Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. doing the same work. NFL slates, I still show up and do it. A lot of you guys watch those videos, but a lot of you guys just show up when it's, these days where we got a nice cheap tournament on DraftKings. No matter what your consumption level, I am here for you guys Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. doing my same prep work I'll be doing on my own. And of course, check out Stokastic. Hopefully they'll be back up and live, able to take your money and get you some good data and tools. Get 15% off the promo code SPLASH. I'll link down below. And of course, join the channel here, $5 to join as a supporter. And if you want access to the Discord, you get that right away. If you want my data, join the Squirt Squad tiers and get that. All the stuff you saw on screen here from me, you can get updated throughout the night if you click that link down below. All right. Today, hopefully it will be a revenue day after those guys smash, I guess. But yeah, YouTube revenue going to be low today. It's okay. It's okay. It's not going to be okay, though, if it goes into next week. I really hope they get their shit right over the weekend, but we'll see. Let's build this lineup out here. Wow, Steven's paying now. Thank you, Steve. You are recognizing the fact that I am not making money today. So thank you, Steven. Get in the Discord, Steven. We can have some fun. We can talk off the public chats a little bit more. But shout out, Steven. Glad to see him being a member here, of course. I appreciate you guys who are free members, but you guys who are paid members, I appreciate you 10 times more. That is unfortunately just the math. Your top players, though, for me in this lineup, who would I want at point guard? I think it's probably KJ Simpson to start. We'll make some savings here. Simpson, do think there's minutes risk. Don't think you want to play Sion James, but I do think Sion James can take minutes directly away from KJ Simpson. That said, the fact that he played big minutes last game, 4,500 still, he's always been the kind of producer I like. Gets some rebounds, gets some assists. Sometimes gets a little bit lost in the sauce, but he plays good defense out there for the most part. I like KJ Simpson as chalk today, so I'm willing to be there. Shooting guard for me Kobe White, Con Knipple, Cedric Coward, Walter Clayton if I want to go cheap. Think it's Knipple. I don't mind going Coward. The sim likes Coward. Let's save some money here. Let's go Coward. Coward is still, for me, a 28 fantasy point projection, not quite as high as Stokastic's 30. But oh, that's Cooper Flag. Get the fuck out of here, Cooper Flag. No, Cooper Flag. We don't want you. We want Cedric Coward. Here we go. Cooper Flag, not an option at 7K to me. Cedric Coward at 5,400. I think looks pretty decent. Small forward, Michael Porter Jr., Brandon Miller, my top plays, it looks like. We've saved enough money for now. So let's go MPJ here. We know we're going to go Jalen Johnson at power forward. And I'm also going to try to go Brandon Miller at regular forward as well. So we're going to jam in all the forward plays I like here. These three are going to be a tier above for me. So we got them in here. And theoretically, some positive correlation between KJ Simpson and Brandon Miller. If KJ Simpson is cooking an assist, think that Brandon Miller gets a few easy shots. All right. Center, I think, would be Duren for me, but we need the value now. So let's go Landale. Landale value, Sim likes him a little bit less than I do, but that's okay. We're saving money. We got 5,400 left for 2 spots. Which means we cannot play Jalen Duren no matter what, and he is one of my favorite plays based on the projections. We need a guard. Walter Clayton value. Maybe go Knipple here. Don't mind Darius Garland, but I'll go Knipple. I'll go Knipple at guard. And that leaves us 4,200 left for our utility spot. Kalkbrenner, that's not bad. Ethan Thompson, less owned, less of a good projection too. None of these other guys. I think it's Kalkbrenner, easy. Let's change the settings the same as the sim we just ran. So my team here. We went KJ Simpson, Cedric Coward, Michael Porter Jr., Jalen Johnson, Jock Landale, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, Ryan Kalkbrenner. Big ol' stack of Hornets here, but when you are missing as many guys as they are, I think that makes sense. 80% ROI, 0.2% win rate. Boom, we are done. Under 50 minutes. Guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. I'll give you guys my splash plays again, though it should be obvious for me belaboring that lineup build. But I'll do that in a moment. Before I do, one last ask. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Goes a long way for me here, as I have mentioned enough already today. But you guys know the deal. Just help me keep finding that YouTube algorithm. And I'm trying to grow the channel as best I can. And that means you guys hitting the like button. And it really does correlate together. So we talk about correlation a lot as it relates to DFS. If you want your YouTube channels to get more views, click the like button, because that also does help directly. Stokastic, not up now, but hopefully it'll be up. If some of you guys watch, I have no faith. It's but if it is up, use the promo code SPLASH, 15% off. And go get some money, go win. And then we can all win together. And join the channel here. You saw Steven Leibovitz do it. If a thought leader like Steven will join the channel for $5, you too should do it down below. Join the channel, get into the Discord. And if nothing else, show support for the show here, because I will keep showing support for you no matter what. But I appreciate you guys. Appreciate Steven signing up. Appreciate all you guys who are members here, as you hopefully all know, because you guys help me do what I'm doing here, especially when you buy the Squirt Squad tiers. You can ride with me on my projections. And look, my projections have been really fucking good this week. Even though it is Saber Sim helping me out a lot, Stokastic ownership helping me out a lot, my projections are also not hurting me, and that's been a positive. All right. Splash plays for the day. I mean, KJ Simpson, Jock Landale is value. Obvious. If either of them doesn't start, bump them down a ton. And then I don't know what you're going to get as value, to be honest. Besides them, the forwards are really where I think I'll be the most above the field or heavily owned. Michael Porter Jr., you saw him. I'm above the field here. As our guy R. Stanley pointed out, Jalen Johnson occurs a lot for me. He'll be definitely a splash play today, even though he will be also a splash play for the field for sure. Brandon Miller I'm getting a lot of, even though I'm not meaningfully above the field. I think he does count. Jalen Duren, I would say a lower owned splash play. Kobe White a little bit too. I think that's enough. I think it's enough to get you guys going. So that's it for today. I'll be back on Live Before Lock today at 6 p.m. Eastern with, I think, my pal Greg Ehrenberg. So tune in there. Of course, the data will move. I'll have updates then. I'll have more to talk about. So come watch that. Make sure to check out my NFL video as well, especially if you're going to be playing, well, really only if you're going to be playing NFL Week 15. But I do a very similar process for the NFL here, going through data, looking at ETR data as well. It's a good process for the NFL to get you a read on where things stand as of Friday heading into the weekend. So do check it out on the NFL channel at Splash Play Pod. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here on these channels. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets on YouTube, at Splash Play Pod on Twitter. Follow me at Chris Spags. And I will see you guys again. NBA, I'll be on Live Before Lock tonight, 6 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. Sunday, NFL at 11:30. Check out my NFL video. You guys know the deal here. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye. And let's go win some money, guys. I feel like this is my night, but it might be your night. So I hope it is if it's not mine. All right, bye.